Okay, on to the second issue of the miniseries, and fingers crossed that it lives up to the expectations set by the first one. Not the first time I've said that at this point, but I'm hopeful. The cover is once again pretty good, and this time has some definite links to the actual story that we're going to be seeing, which has been a bit of a rarity in the series up to this point. I have no trouble with the cover here, other than the fact that it makes me think of something else other than Sonic.
Father, the sleeper has awakened!
We open on Knuckles and Archimedes making their way through the endless desert of Sandopolis Zone, trying to think of what they're going to do next when they are suddenly ambushed by a giant worm, or sandcrawler, as Knuckles calls it. Knuckles helpfully exposits that they're heat seekers who are naturally drawn to the body heat of their prey, and this one is going straight for Knuckles. However, Archimedes, being a fire breather, manages to get the thing's attention with his fire breath and forces it to slam into a collection of rocks, apparently killing it, as the next thing we see is Knuckles and the fire ant enjoying some roasted worm. Well, at least it's all natural. As the two continue their journey, Knuckles finally asks why Archimedes was doing all of this, and what his role in Echidna society is, and what he meant when he said his people had helped save the Echidnas so many times before. We get another 2-page recap, but rather than just being a straight-up recap this time, it's told from the perspective of the fire ants, who were apparently integral to even getting the island off the ground, as they helped to clear the foundation and get it initially lifted into the air, and ever since the Dimitri incident, they've always been behind the scenes, trying to help whenever they were needed, and so Archimedes was trying to test Knuckles, to see if he was truly ready to take on the role his father held as guardian of the island. Meanwhile, Enerjack floats out of the center of the desert himself to the space where Echidnopolis used to stand, stating that it will be the perfect site for his own city now, Necropolis. And as he spends the next several pages slowly forcing the city to rise from the ground, Knuckles and Archimedes continue to wander the desert, Knuckles even attempting to eat Archimedes during a small fit of hunger-induced madness. Gotta admit though, I actually find Archimedes' reaction to almost getting swallowed whole to be pretty humorous. Never do that again. The two eventually end up collapsing in the desert due to exhaustion, but then Knuckles sees a vision of his father encouraging him to go on, even in the face of despair. Good thing too, because right over the next sand dune, the two of them find a large oasis with water and fruit-bearing trees. The two of them take a moment to collect themselves, with Knuckles commenting that this is too much of a coincidence to be luck, someone wanted them to find it. And as it turns out, he was probably right, as the oasis vanishes into thin air behind them. The two of them wonder exactly what it was, since it couldn't have been a mirage, since their supplies are very real. But they're cut off when they see a massive city in front of them that is definitely real. The two knock out a guard and sneak in, heading towards a massive citadel in the hopes of finding and stopping Enerjack. Knuckles decides to just try bum-rushing the patrols in the hopes of getting in as soon as he can, but his reckless attack ends up bringing every single guard bot in the place towards them. However, now that every guard in the city is outside of the citadel, Knuckles rushes inside and closes the gates behind him, even managing to crush a few of the guards as he does so. The two run down the hall for a brief period, but then Knuckles notes that something's wrong. They're not encountering any sort of resistance at all. Of course, because the universe has a sense of humor, we immediately get the reason for that. Knuckles is attacked by several unseen assailants and is sent to the ground before it's revealed who attacked them. The Chaotix, brainwashed by Enerjack. Well, once again, I have to say I'm impressed. Obviously, the timeline in this issue is pretty compressed, taking place over several days, but it finally gives us answers as to why Archimedes has been doing this. While they aren't really that satisfying on their own, in the context of the miniseries' ongoing story, it makes a bit more sense, and while we still don't have all the answers, the ongoing mystery was brought to a satisfying conclusion, the lore was explained naturally, and we got another good example of the breadth of power from our main antagonist. Archimedes and Knuckles also had some decent banter with one another, though Archimedes is sort of struggling to establish his own personality, as much of what he said, while it has wisps of the wise mentor, is mostly exposition. But he is doing better in this issue. The whole almost getting eaten by Knuckles scene really helped with that. The artwork, once again, is stellar, with the same team as last time, and man, looking at this really highlights just how much Ken struggles to make characters look unique. I mean, look at this. Look how much more sinister Dimitri looks in Mawini's style, despite still having a similar build to Knuckles' design, when compared to how he appeared in Ken's style, which made him look almost exactly the same as every other echidna around him. It's small, but it goes a long way to actually making Dimitri seem more like a villain right from the start, rather than just someone who immediately went insane just because someone said he couldn't do what he wanted to do with his new toy. Next time we round off this mini's final issue, and I'm actually really looking forward to it. Color me surprised and impressed, both at once. See you all for this mini's final issue next time, everyone.